Venus enters the fiery sign of Aries on Monday, February 20th. And until March 16th, we will be interested in independent, active, courageous partners. We will likely enjoy the chase a little bit more than the conquest. And we will find a lot of attraction to fiery, young, masculine topics. Like, finding beauty in war and blades and kind of sharp things. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I really appreciate that. And before I dive in, if you like my work and if you'd like to get personal, tailored uniquely to your chart horoscopes every month, these are written down and you can refer to them as the month progresses. You can become a subscriber on my website. There's different tiers, different levels of subscription. I highly recommend it. I personally track my transits and find it very beneficial to know how the planets affect me. And finally, if you have any planetary placements or any challenges in your life that you'd like help and you'd like to improve the karma you've been given, you can purchase the candles and oils I have created. This is my latest creation, Saturn in Aquarius. This is Saturn conjunct Venus, so it's a more mellow version of Saturn, but yet still helpful for people with Saturn in Leo, Saturn in Cancer, Saturn in Aries, or anyone who struggles with boundaries and patience and just kind of like sticking through and finishing projects instead of giving up halfway through. It can also help you get the favors of the elders and come across as a responsible person, or reach kind of recognition for your responsibility. It has 3 sapphire stones in it and smells like sweet tobacco, like very much very much tobacco smell. I also have Jupiter and Pisces items, good for people born with Jupiter in Virgo, Gemini, or Capricorn. There's also Venus in Libra, Venus Cazimi if you're struggling with love, Mercury in Virgo for those needing clarity and clear communication and self-expression. So let's talk about Venus and Aries. Very appropriately, I have drilling happening outside because we need to hear it in order to celebrate Venus and Aries. Please let me know that, I hope it's not too disturbing as you're watching it. Fingers crossed. So Venus enters Aries on February 20th and exits on March 16th. So a little bit less than a month, right? Like close to a month, we get Venus and Aries. I think it's quite exciting because Venus is co-present with Jupiter the entire time, and they come together around March 1st, 2nd. And this is, Venus deals with love, Jupiter deals with expansion, growth, opportunities, good luck. So there's definitely good luck when it comes to love, beauty, creativity, art, anywhere where you need to take action and be courageous and show up in this prominent and visible way. Really beautiful transit for inception of new projects and new romance or new beginnings in love. Venus also will sextile Mars on March 11th, which is similarly romantic. And the middle of the month, actually, like right before Venus leaves Aries, could be tricky because it's going to square Pluto on March 16th. So mid-March can be a bit dramatic, but potentially Pluto is always Pluto makes you face things you would rather not look at, and by facing it, you become a better version of yourself. So don't shy away from Pluto. So let's talk about Venus in Aries. And if you are born with this placement, let me know in the comments below, and let me know if the description I'm about to give you resonates with you, or maybe it doesn't, or maybe you want to add something, right? I would love to hear your thoughts. So Venus is the planet of peace, and it's like the glue that holds everything together. It's the planet of friendship and love and accord and joy. When it's in Aries, it's in the sign of Mars, and Mars is the antithesis? Mars is the opposite. Let's use the word that I know how to say. Mars is the opposite of Venus in a lot of ways, because Mars deals with severing things, with separating, with being different than others, being more assertive, being independent. It represents war and conflict and blades and, you know, sharp objects. So when Venus is placed in the sign of Mars, it is not very comfortable. It's like, this placement is called, you know, Venus in detriment or Venus in exile, meaning that Venusian things become more complicated when Venus is surrounded by, you know, swords and blades. Like, it's hard to be like flirting with like a bunch of knives. I mean, you can, but there's a danger of cutting the person you love, right? So immediately, like, one of the things Venus and Aries people might struggle is like, they're so direct, and they're doing it for the right reasons, right? Like, they want to be honest. They want to be like, they mean what they say. But the other person, like, let's say you're dating someone with Venus in Cancer, might find your directness and assertiveness as too stingy or too cold, right? So just knowing that it's not meant the wrong way, or just, you know, for Venus and Aries, maybe learning to not be as blunt at times. It's like always a careful balance, right? Like, both people need to understand how they work. But yeah, because it's like Venus in detriment or Venus in exile, Venusian matters can be complicated. They may be a bit like, a bit trickier. And that's, you know, part of the reason why I started making candles is because I have Venus in Virgo, which is another placement Venus struggles in. So if you are born with Venus in Aries, I would highly recommend getting like Venus in Libra candle or oil that is on my website in the shop category, or Venus Kazemi, because that was created with Venus in Libra, and so it's a stronger Venus that can help you. But I digress. So people with this placement tend to be, they tend to express love in a very martial ways, right? There is like independence. They kind of don't mind going off on their own and doing something solo. They don't mind traveling solo. I have a friend who has Venus and Aries in the 9th house. She goes on these solo adventures, ends up meeting people there, right? Like, if Venus is placed in the house of travel, Venus wants love. You find love in the 9th house, in the sector of travel and education. So independent, strong, willful, and we will feel it, like, you know, as a transit. We will feel like we don't mind being solo. We don't mind spending some time in isolation. We feel like more courageous. We feel ready to initiate romance, right? Like, that's another thing with Venus and Aries. If you're born with it, you may jump into things really quickly. Of course, a lot will depend on what Mars is doing in your chart, right? Like, if you're Venus in Aries but Mars in Cancer, maybe Mars in Cancer really wants to be soothed and loved and protected and nurtured. So maybe you're not going to jump into things as quickly, right? Everything needs to be considered together. And that's why we always recommend, as astrologers, to get a chart reading and not, like, you know, jump to conclusions based on one placement. But yeah, there tends to be quickness. It's very much like, I like you, I'm gonna knock you with my like, I don't know, bat over the head, and I'll drag you into my cave placement. Like, you know, Venus in Libra is the opposite of Venus in Aries, and Venus in Libra can flirt for the sake of flirting and just like not make any commitments and just enjoy the process of like flirtation. And Venus in Aries just has no time for this kind of mess, you know. And on the positive, like, this is good for people with Venus in Aries because they're able to move on pretty quickly, and, you know, they're able to just like keep looking for new things and like not waste time looking back or worrying too much. Once again, depends on what your Mars is doing. The danger, you know, dangers of Venus, regardless in what sign it is, always has some kind of shadow side, right? So here the shadow becomes martial issues. So aggression, being too competitive, being too self-centered, or like, you know, like, I think like, let's say the person has like Mars and Venus in Aries, they might just be like very self-driven and find their relationships, like kind of find relationships that are a battlefield, and they can be very competitive with their partners. So learning to not get into like dominance struggles or power struggles with your partner could be very important here. On the outside, people, I think, with Venus and Aries definitely come across as like relatively tough and Miss Independent or Mr. Independent, but it's not always as such. And so, yeah, like, so dangerous with like being too blunt, being too impatient, jumping into things quickly and getting hurt, especially if you have the moon in a more sensitive placement or your Mars is more sensitive. Sometimes people with Venus and Aries can deal with sexual abuse that is like more dangerous, you know, shadow negative. Of course, depends on everything else in your chart. But like Marilyn Monroe had this placement. Rihanna has Venus and Aries, and her, you know, her situation with Chris Brown and violence from Chris Brown has been like well known. So dealing with those issues can take some time, right? But like eventually, if you're able to navigate things with patience and you learn a lot, you are able to learn the lessons and to not choose partners that are aggressive, but choose partners that are maybe passionate, and you can pursue exciting things together. Like you can travel together instead of battle it out and compete. We will, you know, on a general level, I think we'll look for freshness in relationships, new experiences. We may be more entrepreneurial as well. Venus and Aries, another thing that is interesting too, is like Venus represents things we find attractive and things we find desirable. And because it's in the martial sign, we might find more kind of like harsher things desirable. We might be more interested in war documentaries or in making a sword, you know, like making some kind of like taking up sword making or taking up fencing. Lady Gaga has Venus and Aries, I believe, and you know, she wore a meat suit, which is also very martial, like making a dress. Was it like a meat dress? Making a dress out of like raw meat, basically. So definitely just notice if your interests and your attractions change when Venus goes into Aries. And yeah, if you're born with this placement, let me know in the comments below if I have done a good job describing you. So let's break it down for all 12 signs and take Venus through 12 rising signs. I use rising sign because it determines the starting point of your chart and where the rest of the transits fall down. If you are an Aries rising, Venus is going into your first house. First house is the place of physical body, health, personality, personal projects. So Venus in the first house is always a lovely time to reinvent yourself and reinvent your look. So maybe cut your hair, upgrade your wardrobe, buy yourself something red. You may be more visible, and you know, like this could be the time when partners come to you because Venus rules your 7th house of romance. So being more approached, being seen as more beautiful, kind of being better at manifestation is quite likely. But watch out for like, you know, Aries issues as like being too blunt in a relationship, or being too harsh with other people, or being too competitive and aggressive. If you are a Taurus rising, Venus goes into your 12th house. And 12th house is the place of hidden things. So your romance might be shifting behind closed doors, and maybe you're just having a lot of passion, but nobody knows about it. It's sort of like in the privacy of your own home. It could be a lovely time to take a trip with your partner and get away somewhere and spend time with them. Like, you know, that's being your behind closed doors kind of energy. It could be Venus in the 12th could bring a bit of a danger of like making wrong decisions in relationships, as far as, you know, like dating someone who is not right for you, dating someone who is already in a relationship or is treating you poorly. So be careful with that. But at the same time, I think like Venus in the 12th house can also make you more aware of how you sabotage yourself in relationships and how you are being self-destructive. So making healthy adjustments and healthier choices could come as a result of this transit. Feeling more inspired, finding more inspiration in solo walks or solo pursuits, or like meditation, journaling could be a possibility as well. For Gemini risings, Venus goes into your 11th house. And 11th house is the place of friendships, networks, social media, groups, associations. So Venus here will encourage you to connect with other people, maybe go work out with your friends, or maybe, form some kind of union or form some kind of club at your university, maybe when you get together with other people. You will enjoy leading more so than following because it's Venus in Aries. And watch out, of course, like as a danger, as an overall blanket statement with Venus in Aries, be careful of being like too competitive and forgetting that it's about the common goal and just focusing on your personal goals a bit much. Overall, I think like dating a friend is also a possibility, or just enjoying friendships, having more exciting experiences, spending more time with your friends is likely. Opportunities can come through friends, and you will also experience more charm in group context. Let's say you're going to a party and suddenly you feel more comfortable in that environment that you did a month ago. For Cancer rising, Venus goes into the 10th house. 10th house is the place of career, status, reputation, outward persona, and what you're known for, basically. So Venus in the 10th house can encourage you to do work that you truly enjoy. And it can also make you show up as more charming in that environment, in that outside world, right? Like it may be easier to get the support of bosses, to negotiate, to ask for more, to maybe even projects that are more creative can come your way, more exciting. Romance at work is a possibility as well, but I would be careful that you're not getting involved with someone who can create trouble and drama in your life later on, because maybe I don't know, maybe they're married, or maybe there are certain blockages that will impede your professional growth. So yeah, take advantage, use that beauty and the charm you have in the professional context, and pursue projects. Like look how you can add creativity into your professional life, or just in general creativity in your everyday life, by maybe taking on some exciting, unique projects that make you happy, and maybe you care less, you don't really care or worry too much at how other people will take it. If you are a Leo rising, Venus is entering your 9th house, and 9th house is the place of travel, education, legal matters, publishing, and beliefs, faith. So with travel, this could be a lovely time to go on a trip. You can meet someone while abroad. If we're talking about education, Venus here, you might be interested in learning about some kind of education that deals with love and sex and some kind of romantic matters, right? Like maybe you're taking a class, maybe you take like a pole dancing class or something like that. Especially feels like Venus in a martial sign, taking a class that is, like I keep saying, like a metalworking class, like making a sword or something like that. There could be better luck when it comes to legal matters, more inspiration when it comes to writing. And as far as like faith and belief goes, you can also experience a sense of rethinking what you believe in, or being more open to new philosophies, more open to meeting different people. Be careful of being too blunt, right? And like be careful of getting into ideological debates. If you are a Virgo rising, Venus enters your 8th house, and 8th house deals with debts, taxes, shared resources, your partner's money. Jupiter is already here, so you're already kind of in a place of good luck when it comes to other people's resources and opportunities you have available to you. So even more so now, I think like Venus going into the 8th house could be, now you will see that, you know, like other people are willing to give the keys to their car to you, or the keys to their house, or you get a credit line increased, or you get like a mortgage approved. Be careful that you're not just like jumping into things recklessly. Make sure that you're being thoughtful about the contracts you're signing and people you're joining forces with. But you can definitely see financial benefits and maybe even mental health benefits, more confidence, both in your life and in your partner's life, because like I said, 8th house represents your partner's money. So Venus here could also mean that your partner is the one that's getting a raise and you're benefiting through them and through their generosity, basically. If you are a Libra rising, Venus is about to go into your 7th house. 7th house is the place of romance, marriage, relationships, partnerships. So Venus entering this house could mean that you now desire accord in your relationships. You may have like a little bit questionable ways of reaching that accord, because with Venus and Aries in the 7th house, you may feel like the right way of balancing things out is just like speaking your mind in the immediate fashion as things arise. But you can benefit from being a bit, you know, taking a step back and being a bit more thoughtful before you say things. Going on active dates and finding ways to initiate projects that deal with action, that require courage, that require independence and passion. All of those kind of things can benefit. And even your business can benefit from your passion, right? Don't hesitate to show your passion. And be careful of fighting with your partner. Instead, find ways that you can go out together and be active together. If you are a Scorpio rising, Venus is about to go into your 6th house, and 6th house deals with health, serving others, work, problem solving, pets. So you can see benefits in any of those areas, right? Like Venus in the 6th can definitely help improve your professional relationships, kind of have a more smooth dynamic, create like a smoother dynamic with your coworkers. You may seek to bring fun into your everyday life, like, you know, take better care of yourself, like start doing workouts that are kind of cardio intensive. Maybe you start running, maybe you start getting massages, maybe you start exercising with your partner, right? Like Venus would want some element of cooperation anyways. Maybe you decide to get a pet, right? Definitely an interesting energy when it comes to everyday life, health, work, service. And even trying to find ways to beautify your place of work, to streamline things, to add more fun into your everyday life are possibilities here. Be careful for being too competitive with your coworkers, because that could be, maybe it's exciting to you, but that messes with your dynamic with them. If you are a Sagittarius rising, Venus is about to go into your 5th house. 5th house is the place of romance, creativity, children, sex. Venus rejoices in the 5th house, so it's likely that you will have a lot of opportunities to have fun, to create, to procreate. You know, sex can be more passionate, more full of life, maybe quicker, depending, of course, on your natal placement of Venus and Mars already. But definitely, I think your romantic life has the power to speed up and get more exciting. I would watch out for being too blunt, you know, too competitive, too kind of like harsh with your partners, and try to instead be more playful, or like be on the same team with them instead of being too competitive, because like 5th house is also the place of games. So you can choose games and be like a sore loser, or like really want to win, and then that might, you know, mess with the happiness in your relationship. You will likely enjoy spending more time with kids, you may be getting pregnant, or, you know, kind of working on getting pregnant. Creative self-expression is favored right now. You know, painting or doing, once again, it feels like some kind of like active, running, martial arts, sword fighting, fencing, anything like that could be fun for you. If you are a Capricorn rising, Venus is about to go into your 4th house, and Venus in the 4th wants to enjoy family time. It wants to enjoy the space you live in. It wants to feel comfortable. It is Venus in Aries, so in order to feel comfortable, Venus in Aries might create something that other people might find a bit uncomfortable. Like, I don't know, maybe you put like a sexual painting in your house that other people feel a little bit like thrown off by, but you're like, so what? This is what I like. This is what makes me feel comfortable. But overall, I think Venus going into your 4th house could encourage you to spend more time with family and potentially be more competitive with family, right? Like, get into more direct debates with family. Just be, you know, navigate that carefully as much as you can. Changing your wallpaper, changing your decor in your home right now could be very interesting to you, and you may kind of choose bolder, brighter colors. If you are an Aqua rising, Venus is heading for your 3rd house. And Venus in the 3rd house in general tends to smooth out communications and relationships with siblings and relationships with neighbors. But of course, Aries is a very direct sign, right? So maybe you're trying to smooth out your relationship with neighbors, but you're being very direct, and you end up like pinching them a little bit, or, you know, frustrating them a little bit. Of course, don't go too crazy, and like, you know, don't like tiptoe around situations. Maybe you're actually getting the courage to say things that need to be said with Venus and Aries. You may find the courage around this time, and Jupiter is still in your 3rd house until May 16th. You may find courage to pursue your dreams, to take a hobby or a skill that you like doing in your free time, like cooking, and you might have the courage to take it and make it into a business. Working with people in your neighborhood, working with siblings, connecting with people through your writing or through your speech is also highly likely right now. And maybe you're taking exams. Maybe you're also like, maybe you're upgrading your car, because 3rd house deals with short travel, going on short trips, and technology is also represented by the 3rd house. So upgrading technology, upgrading your car, going on short trips is likely. And now, if you are a Pisces rising, Venus is about to go into your 2nd house, will conjoin Jupiter around March 1st and 2nd. So you may be in for a big financial boost, some kind of, you know, like increase of money coming your way, which is quite exciting. Maybe you're getting a raise, maybe you're starting a business, maybe you're getting like a side hustle, something that gets you excited. There might also be a chance that you're spending more money, or you're getting kind of restless and ready to invest into something. So be thoughtful with what you're investing into. And, you know, working with other people could be a source of financial gains and financial benefits at this time right now. At this time as well, I would just be careful with, like, because Venus and Aries can be like competitive or direct. Like, I would watch out for getting into, I don't know, trying to outdo your partner when it comes to money, or how much money you spend, or how generous you are, you know, like try to watch out for conflicts and power struggles connected to money. And I think this is it. Thank you for listening and sticking all the way through if you did. And let me know if you have this placement natally. Have a wonderful transit of Venus in Aries. I'm excited for the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter, and then, you know, later the sextile between Venus and Mars. I think there is lots of exciting things to look forward to, and I think Jupiter and Aries will definitely be soothing and protective and empowering. Will add that energy to Venus. Anyways, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.